Welcome back to the Roll Tide Rewind in 2025. We have a bye week, finally. Deep breaths, guys. We are 7-1, number 4 in the country, entering our bye week before we play LSU. Cole's the one with us today. Ryan's at a high school game. James is at small group. And then Zach, don't know. Parker, also don't know. But we are here tonight to discuss Ty Simpson film. Cole, how are you feeling after that South Carolina game?
Nervous, Thomas. Bye week, as you mentioned, couldn't have come at a better time. I think this is outside of the Florida State game, this is probably the worst we've seen this team play over the last couple of weeks. So very good to get a bye week. Hopefully we can reset a little bit and come back out strong to take on LSU.
Yeah, absolutely. And for people that were at that game, we're very, very nervous and recovering from the South Carolina game. But
let's jump into people at home. We're nervous too, Thomas. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's not just people in the stadium. I know. But first, before we start, thank you guys. We have crossed 500 subscribers. It is amazing. This is an amazing accomplishment. We appreciate all the support. And if you like what we do, please subscribe for more. 96.4% of you are not subscribed. Please subscribe. Helps us out a lot. But let's jump into the film. We're going to talk about Ty Simpson. From when we did this in week 3, we were looking at him as probably middle of the pack SEC quarterback. Now we are saying best SEC quarterback, top 5 quarterback in the country, Heisman betting favorite. What a turn of events. Let's start at the Florida State game. We remember this game. This was the worst we saw of this team, not just Ty Simpson, but the team in general. But one thing that I've noticed with Ty is he's making better decisions on what the defense gives him, especially with running the football. Let's start off with this Florida State play. We'll do these 2 Florida State plays. We'll talk about them, then we'll go into the good running plays on the next part of the video. But this is 4th and 7, scores 24-10. Florida State has surprised everybody, up by 2 touchdowns. Alabama's kind of given up on field goals at this point. They're trying to go down and get some points. Ty gets pressured, bails like he should do. And then here, what you're going to see is there's a lot of green grass on this over here for Ty to just get a first down. All he needs is 7.5 yards. You're not asking to score a touchdown on this play. 7.5 yards is all you need, and just throws it in the dirt. Brian tries to make a good catch, but it's a hard catch to make, especially if you're sliding in a rain-filled weather. But this play was there for Ty to make. You see that grass right there. Just run right to the sideline right there, and he has all the yards he needs, but dumps it off instead for an incomplete pass, turnover on downs, asking a lot of the defense there. Let's go to later in the game, 31-17. At this point, most Alabama fans probably have thought this game is lost. But there's still opportunities to get back in the game always. Ty here on this play has to bail again. There's a lot of pressure. And he bails smartly, gets out of the pocket. And Parker, if he were here, I know he would talk about this play. This was his least favorite play of the game. But Ty has room here to get even just a couple yards. It's 1st and 10. It's not 4th and 10. And Ty throws it right into the dirt. Has a guy open too. Derek Meadows is open on the play and just throws it right in the dirt. But I'll throw it to Cole here. Cole, in this game, the Florida State game, what was your assessment on Ty after the game, especially with like these type of plays?
Yeah, I thought he was disappointing, and I think as a lot of people did, I think I maybe put way too much stock in one game. I think it's hard to not do that when it's the only game we've really seen him play meaningful snaps, right? Except maybe South Florida a couple of years ago. So I was very concerned. 2 things that you mentioned that I thought he really struggled with were I thought his pocket presence was not very good. I thought he was a little too antsy trying to get out of the pocket. I thought he was pretty late making throws. I thought he was late seeing the defense. I thought he was late seeing like where receivers were going to be, where they were going to get open. I didn't think he was throwing with much anticipation. And so I was a bit concerned coming out of that game, as I'm sure most Alabama fans are. But thankfully, happy to report he's definitely cleaned up some of those issues a lot going forward in these last few weeks. So obviously, he's well exceeded my expectations coming out of this game, but it did not start the best.
Start Keelan Russell. That's what everybody was saying. I probably was one of them. But let's move on to the next few clips where we kind of go over like the improvements that we've seen in Ty. We'll start on the Wisconsin game. This was one of Ty's best statistical games, passing the ball. But we'll see here on this play, Caden Proctor gets beat on this play, or at least he's trying to decide which guy to block here. And the problem is when you're deciding that, you're going to lose to both of them. And that's what Caden Proctor does here. Loses to both of them. Ty has to bail. He gets hit, but is able to keep his balance and is able to keep the play alive. And against Florida State here, he may be trying to look for a throw, but Ty has made his decision. He's like, there's yards there. I just need 10. I'm going to go for it. And he's going to make a great play, gets over 20 yards on a play he realistically should have lost over 10 yards. When I watched this play live, I jumped out of my seat. I was just so amazed at like just the night and day difference that you saw from the Florida State game to this play. And even we'll see here in the Georgia game, this was Ty's kind of coming out party. We'll go over that later in the video. But this
really
is kind
quick
of Ty's
before we move off that play, that little move he makes on the sideline is one of my favorite things he's done all year. When I first saw this, I thought he was legitimately tired. I thought he was running out of gas. I think the defender did too. I think he thought he was just going to mosey out of bounds and play the next play. It's so awesome. I love it. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's a really good move. I agree. We'll go to the Georgia game. We'll catch on the Georgia game a little bit later. We'll touch on it. But even on this play, it's near end of half. You need to probably get a score here. We end up scoring, and that helps us win the game. But with this play, Ty kind of gives what the defense gives him. They're covering Jeremy Bernard here, and he has probably a throw he could probably possibly try to throw across the middle of the field. But, you have defenders that are running across the whole time. And Ty is not even going to risk that, even though Caleb Edwards probably is wide open as can be. He takes what the defense gives him and just trots into it for an easy touchdown and even gives this crowd a silence. And this was one of the plays I remember Ryan mentioned during the game. He was like, this is the difference between the Florida State game and now, was this play right here against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt brings a blitz. Ty sets him in the pocket on 3rd and 6. And like we were talking about, he just needs 6 yards, and that's what he's trying to focus on. He's not trying to focus on making a play deep downfield. It's just getting a first down. And seeing him pumped up after the play is always a fun thing to see. And then the last mobility play here we'll show is against Missouri, 3rd and 4. They get good pressure. Middle of the field's wide open. Ty takes advantage of that. Now, you'd probably rather see him slide here. He takes a pretty big hit, flips around, does a front flip, back flip.
Thomas.
Summer's saying. Does like a front flip, back flip here to get yardage. But the point is that instincts are correct here. He gets what he needs to get. He's not trying to force the throw downfield to get intercepted, because like Ty's only thrown 1 interception this year. He's 20 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's had a few interceptions dropped, but he's also had some touchdowns dropped. So we'll go over one of those later in the video. But I think since the Florida State game, his pocket presence and just awareness of what the defense is giving him has been significantly improved. What do you think about that, Cole?
100%. Yeah. As I mentioned, I think his 2 biggest areas of weakness that I mentioned earlier, I think he's improved on both of them. I think he's a good runner. And I know that feels surprising, but maybe it doesn't if you watch the broadcast every week where they continually remind us that he was a dual threat quarterback coming out of high school every single week.
I for first time hearing it, Cole.
First time hearing that? Yeah. Not many people know. But no, he's a good runner. He's not Lamar Jackson or anything, but he's a solid runner. And I think in today's NFL and college football, you have to have a little bit of that in your game to really be a successful quarterback. You got to be able to improvise, take what the defense gives you. If nobody's open, make something happen, get 5 or 6 yards if you can. And I think he's very, very good at doing that. I think he's a good runner. I think he's, as you mentioned, I think he's made better decisions on when to run the ball and when to try to make a play down the field. I think he's very much improved on that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. We'll go into the one critique spot that I wanted to touch on this video. Against South Carolina, I noticed during the game there was a lot of issues with the deep ball. And I started doing some digging. College Football Nerds, good account to follow on Twitter and on YouTube, they did a stat. This is before the South Carolina game. Alabama, before this game, so I don't know what the updated stats are, 2nd in the country in 10-plus yard pass plays with 93. So probably over 100 now. But they are 70th in 30-plus yard pass plays with 9. So I was trying to think of reasons why the deep ball hasn't been used as much or isn't as effective. A lot of it is probably due to O-line inconsistency. We have seen Ty get pressured a lot, and also we'll talk about it in our run game video tomorrow. The offensive line just is really up and down. Good play one day and then bad play the next. I think also with these receivers that Alabama has, Jeremy Bernard, Brian Williams, and Isaiah Horton, Loxier Brooks, we're facing a lot of cover 3, cover 4, where they're preventing the deep ball. Just like on that play right there, Bernard has a good step. Ty does make a pretty good throw, but South Carolina has many defenders in the area, and one of them just gets their hand up and knocks it down. So that probably would have been a walk-in touchdown if not for the coverage. And then a lot of high-level pass rushers, too. That's what I've noticed, too, like Dylan Stewart for South Carolina, Colby Young for Missouri. They have another good – that was Zion Young from Missouri, and they have another good one, too. And then Tennessee led the SEC in sacks when they played Alabama at the time. But, I mean, on some of these throws, like this one, I'm not really going to knock on Ty. This is the first one. He's thrown that 65 yards in the air. So it's just was a little bit out of reach for Ryan Williams, but I'm not going to really fault Ty for that one. Just it's a hard one to fault him on. And then on these next few, it looks like a lot of miscommunications with the receivers. Like Rico Scott just isn't anywhere near the pass. I don't know if he was running too far, not running to the sideline, or Ty just simply missed him. It looks like Ty just misses Ryan here completely, not even close. This one, Jerry Bernard, I remember Grant was talking about it, but it looks like Bernard is trying to force a pass interference here that doesn't get called, but he kind of does stop running, which I don't, again, I'm not going to fault on Ty because I feel like if Bernard keeps running, that play is going to be made. Here, I think Ty does underthrow Bernard on this play, and they didn't call a pass interference here. Shocker. But do you think there's any issues with the deep ball, Cole, or is this just a one-game issue, like South Carolina game?
Issues is a tough word. I'm not going to call it an issue to where I'm concerned about it. One thing I think we have to bring up when we talk about the deep ball is that a catch on a deep ball is not the only good thing that can happen, right? By throwing the deep ball, you've got good chances for pass interferences, which will get you good yards, keep the drive going. And then the biggest thing I think the deep ball does, and it's why I think we've seen it so much, even if it hasn't been particularly successful, is that it opens up some of the underneath stuff. And not even just the really short dig routes and stuff. I think it opens up what Ty's been the best at this year, which is like 15 to 20-yard in routes. He's been very, very successful at throwing those. We've seen Bernard make so many plays on throws like that. And it's why when you brought up that stat, I had not heard that stat that we've had so many throws over 10 yards, but not many over 30 yards. But it makes perfect sense because I think that's the strength of our offense. And so the more you throw these deep balls, the more you get that safety cheating back and not able to come up and make the play on the long in routes. So even if it's not the most successful play, I think I'm still okay with trying it. I also think I think of the Ryan Williams drop on the long deep ball. I think we've had some successful plays on that just haven't worked out for whatever reason. And I think Ryan Williams is a good enough receiver, as well as Jeremy Bernard, although I don't think that's necessarily his strength. I think they're good enough receivers where they're going to convert some of these. And I think Ty's going to hit on a few of these. It's not something that has to hit every time to be successful, but if we can hit a couple of these in big moments down the stretch, I think we're going to be able to do whatever we can with this deep ball.
Yeah. Now to say Ty has hit deep balls this year. It's not like he doesn't hit them. Just noticing the South Carolina game as a person who was present at the game, I noticed a lot of throws are just not getting made. And, it's a mixed factor. It's not just all on Ty. It's not all on the receivers. There's got to be a dynamic there of what wasn't working that day, but doesn't mean it's a consistency thing. We'll go into the next part. We'll go into good stuff. I promise, guys, not all bad. One thing I'm impressed with Ty across this year is he delivers when it matters most. And his adversity that they've overcome this year in games, especially the last 5 weeks, has been absolutely incredible. We'll start with the Georgia game. Going into the game, Alabama's ranked 17th. You see the 17th there. We're now ranked 4th. Big turnaround. But we had just lost to Florida State, had a bye week before this game. Georgia's favored to win this game, and a lot of people were picking Georgia to win. Georgia had a 33 home game winning streak. Alabama gets the ball first, 3rd and 7, and this was a big night and day difference from the Florida State game to this moment. Was he took what the defense gave him in a first 3rd down of the game, gets a first down, and Alabama scored on their first 2 drives in this game. But we'll go to this play. Cole touched on it a second ago, the deep ball to Ryan Williams against Georgia. This is that play, but as we all know, the result of this play, he drops the ball. And that's a perfect throw by Ty. That's one of his best throws of the year, I would say. And Ryan drops it. And the adversity level really is shown on this next play, because that's a 2nd and 10, becomes 3rd and 10. And that was a walk-in touchdown. And how does Ty deliver on this next play? He gets a first down to Isaiah Horton. Now, this is big for this game because obviously Alabama to score a touchdown here. But what people do forget that happened in this game was at the end of the 3rd quarter, Gunnar Stockton threw a beautiful pass across the middle that was dropped. I think may have been by Dylan Bell or somebody. Dropped the ball, and it made a 3rd and 10 for Georgia. The next play, Georgia threw an incomplete pass and had to punt the ball. Whereas Alabama had the drop, they continued their drive and scored a touchdown. Different levels here. That's just one thing I noticed during the game. But Alabama ends up winning the game, going to from 17, I think, to like 10 or 9 or whatever it was. Let me see. They went to 10, yeah. But Cole, I know we talked about this for the thing. I was convinced Alabama was going to lose this game. Even during the game, I was convinced. How did you feel during the game? And what about Ty in this game was special to you?
I was too. I was very concerned about this game. I won't maybe concerned isn't the right word, because this was a game I kind of went into thinking, okay, we probably are going to lose this game, but it really matters how we look in this game. Because if we look competitive against Georgia, that's by far the toughest game remaining on our schedule. So if we can stay competitive against Georgia, you hope that we can rattle off a big win streak and still make the playoffs. But yes, I definitely thought I was very concerned, mostly from the defense. Honestly, the defense was struggling at the time. We hadn't gotten many stops, especially at the beginning of the 3rd quarter. I was very concerned Georgia was going to come back. But on the whole, I thought Ty played very well in this game. This was a game that really sold me on Ty. I was starting to feel good after Louisiana Monroe and Wisconsin, but playing this well against a very, very good Georgia defense it's a huge step towards really being that locked in elite quarterback that we've kind of started to know him as in these last few weeks. And I think it starts with what you mentioned. It was the quick start. I thought the script from Ryan Grubb was beautiful in this game. I thought the first 2 drives, like you mentioned, scoring on those, I think it really helped establish some confidence for Ty that, like, oh yeah, I can do this. I'm a very, very talented player. And even a throw like that to Ryan Williams, I think that helps get you in a rhythm. And I think you see it with the bounce back. This throw right here is one of my favorites he's made all year, because he's got the pressure in his face. He knows exactly what he needs. He puts it in the perfect spot to get the first down, keep the drive alive. When, like you mentioned, this could be, you wonder where his headspace is after he makes that perfect throw. It's dropped by Ryan Williams. It's an easy touchdown. You could easily just be mopey and frustrated, maybe not even mopey, but just frustrated and make a bad decision, maybe try to trust your arm too much. He makes a perfect throw here. So I thought Ty played really well in this game. I thought it was maybe one of his best games of the year, considering the competition that we played against.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Alabama's reward for beating Georgia was to bring home Vanderbilt, who had beaten Alabama in the last year. Scores 14-14 at halftime. Vanderbilt has to punt. Alabama gets the ball. And on our second play of the drive, Ty, it's a deep ball, guys. He can throw them. Deep ball to Ryan. Great throw. And then Alabama made the decision of running 3 straight plays and having to kick a field goal. We'll talk about that in the next video and how I just hate when we run the ball in consecutive plays. Then we'll go into the next part of the game. Alabama's up 20-14. This was one of his more impressive plays, in my opinion. It was 20-14. We had got 2 field goal drives. This is a 3rd down and 5. And then Alabama converts here and is able to kick another field goal and go up by 9 and pretty much eliminate Vanderbilt's hope of ever coming back. But this play was a great play by Ty. Rolls out of the pocket, knows he's not going to get it, and is able to dump it off to Horton on this play. It's one of my favorite 3rd down conversions of the year. Cole, during the Vanderbilt game, how are you feeling, and what did you think about Ty during this game, if you can remember your specific feelings from Ty?
I was very confident in Ty. He looked good in this game as well. Probably, I don't feel like I thought he played quite as well in this game. I really feel like ever since the Georgia game, every week's been slightly less good. I don't want to say bad by any stretch, because I think he's still playing very well, but I think the grind of the season may be starting to get to him a little bit. But I think on the whole, he played very well in this game. I think that's this play right here is a good example of it. I think there's a couple plays later that we can maybe touch on it a little bit more, but I think he played well.
Yeah, absolutely. Then Alabama's reward for beating Vanderbilt, a top 16 team who's now a top 10 team, is to play Missouri. This probably is my favorite play from Ty Simpson this year. I don't know what everybody else thinks, but 4th and 8, 5 minutes left. We're already missed a field goal, and DeBoer is not punting. He wants to win this and end this game. Snaps the ball with 1 second on the clock. Ty steps into it, and that's my favorite throw from Ty this whole year. Loxier makes an incredible play. This is also like Loxier's not necessarily coming out party, but this was probably one of his better games too of this year. But an incredible ball placement on this play. Ty being poised to make this play, and you can see the route here from Loxier at the top, and just couldn't ask for a better throw. And then we'll continue on to the final part of this drive here. On 4th down and goal, Alabama's not kicking a field goal. They're going to go score and able to make a play against pressure, against tall defensive ends, and is able to dump it off to Daniel Hill for a touchdown. Cole, you were at this game. How are you feeling about Ty during this game, and how were you feeling during these 2 4th down conversions?
Yeah, I think the throw to Lotsier Brooks on 4th down is maybe my favorite throw he's made all year. It's in that spot to deliver a ball that perfect is really unreal. I mean, he's got no space to throw that ball. First of all, the trust in his arm to even make that throw when you only need 7 yards to throw it 20 yards down the field to a guy who's pretty good coverage on the play. It's an unbelievable throw to get it past the DB, keep it in bounds, and help Lotsier make a play on it. And then the Daniel Hill play is another – it shows how much trust Ryan Grubb has on him, that two 4th downs on the same drive, he puts the ball in Ty's hands, asks him to throw the ball. And really quick, because I'm not sure when else we're going to be able to talk about this, Ryan Grubb's play calling on have-to-have-it times has been incredible this year. I think that's maybe the biggest difference between this year's team and last year's team, other than maybe the lack of turnovers is probably the other thing. But we are converting those gotta-have-it downs, the 2 4th downs on this drive. I think of the 2-point conversion last week against South Carolina. So many examples. Mm-hmm. Just perfect play calls. And this is another one. Nobody expects Daniel Hill leaking out to the left side of the screen there. And it's such an easy play. I mean, he's got a guy in his face, but it's very easy to make that dump off pass. There's nobody around him. So hats off to Ryan Grubb. He's done a really good job this year.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll touch on the South Carolina play shortly. I think the next play is from the Tennessee game. Oh, no, I just skipped the Tennessee game. But Tennessee game, there wasn't really many plays gotta have it for Ty. With Xavier Brown's interception, that kind of gave Alabama very much momentum going into the halftime. But I will mention for the Tennessee game, Alabama in the second half had a 99-yard touchdown drive to almost kind of seal the game, and that's pretty impressive, especially since Alabama's second half offense has been very up and down this year. Very much mostly a first half offense this year. Now, South Carolina game. I was at this game. I was very, very nervous, as probably everybody was, like Cole mentioned. But 3rd and 7, Alabama's been struggling on offense in the second half. They can barely get first downs. And then they had like 6 3-and-outs in this game or something crazy like that. And 3rd and 7, we ran the ball for 3 yards. Passed it, I think, for nothing. And then this is 3rd and 7. I was very impressed with this play when I watched it on replay. But this is Dylan Stewart right here. South Carolina 6'6" defensive end. Ty's pump fake there kind of saved the play. Makes a good throw to Bernard. But you see his pump fake gets Dylan Stewart 10 feet up in the air that he probably would have batted this pass down. But Ty's little pump fake got Dylan Stewart in the air and gave him a perfect window to throw the ball to Jeremy Bernard on the 3rd down. Then we're going to move again. It's immediately another 3rd down play. Ty doesn't force the pass here. He just gives what the defense gives him and does the play he needs to do. Gets just 5 yards on 3rd down. Doesn't try to force it to Bernard. Doesn't try to force the wheel route to Kevin Riley at the top. Just gets what he needs to get. And then Alabama ends up scoring a touchdown with Bernard. And then this is a 2-win conversion that Cole was referencing here. We have Daniel Hill snapping the ball, getting it to Ty faking a reverse, and then Cuevas is able to sneak out and make the touchdown there. And then Alabama was able to force a fumble, win the game on Bernard Rush. But I think poise and adversity-wise, I was most impressed with Ty in the last 10 minutes of this game than I have been in any other game. Because against Georgia, we had a lead. Vanderbilt, we had a lead. Missouri, we had a lead. Tennessee, we had a lead. South Carolina, we did not have a lead. All the adversity is falling on Ty to drive down the field, make these plays, because we can't run the ball. We'll talk about that in the next video, but Alabama just really can't run the ball right now. And he's able to deliver these plays and continue the drive, continue the win streak. But Cole, what did you think about this last part of the South Carolina game?
Yeah, I thought it was very impressive, like you mentioned, the way he battled the adversity of being down. And this is the one. There have been games this year that I felt bad about going into the end. This is one I was convinced we were going to lose. I never really felt good about it from like the second quarter on, to be honest with you. But it's really impressive the way he was able to engineer these huge drives at the end of the game after the offense as a whole stalled. I think you mentioned it, but I feel like the offense was very hamstrung by not being able to run the ball, more so in this game than they have been a lot of the times. And I think it's partially because this to me was probably Ty's worst game since the Florida State game on the whole, at least the first 3 quarters of it. I thought the offense stalled, and when you can't run the ball and you're missing some passes, it's tough to really score points. So it was big of him to kind of put that behind him, really have a good mentality down the stretch and lead us to a victory. It's really impressive that we were able to even win this game. Also, this is my favorite play call of the season. It's so good. I love the misdirection. I love the snapping it to the Wildcat. It forces the defense to kind of compress in towards the middle of the field, worry about the run. Then Ty gets it. They can think it's a pass, but you've got Ryan Williams coming back the other way. It could be a reverse. So this guy that's supposed to be covering Cuevas, he has to worry about the reverse, and Cuevas is able to beat him to the outside. I love this play call.
Yeah, I just now was noticing that too. 24 here on South Carolina. It becomes the guy that's probably responsible for Cuevas out in this boundary. But as Ryan goes on the reverse here, he has to respect that. And then Cuevas acts like he's going to block. And this defender has his eyes in the backfield right here. So all Cuevas has to do is just go right here as Bernard's going to take this corner away. And it's a perfect play call. I remember when I was in the stadium, as soon as Daniel Hill was snapping the ball, my worst fear came and hit me that I thought we were running the football. And I looked at my girlfriend and I was like, oh no. But then this play happened and I was like, okay, I'll live with it. I'll be happy we tied the game. But yeah, incredible adversity. We'll end the video. We're not ending it in 5 seconds, but we'll end the video on some of Ty's best throws of the year. This was against Tennessee. I think Alabama's second drive of the game. Ryan Williams is the one that gets the pass here. And I remember watching this live just being amazed. But this is the all 22, and oh my goodness, what a throw. And it's like he doesn't even have the angle to make this throw, and he just makes it happen. There's a little slow-mo here, but oh my goodness. That's one of my favorite throws of the year just by accuracy-wise. We'll go to this next one here. This is against Vanderbilt. One thing I didn't mention in the Vanderbilt game that I forgot to, Alabama was down 14-7 with a minute left in the second quarter, and Alabama engineered a touchdown drive to make it 14-14 at halftime. This is the play they scored a touchdown on. Watch how fast Ty notices this cover 2 right here. As soon as Bernard gets by the corner, he rockets this ball. And what a beautiful throw. And that was, like I said, that was a game-changing play. Made it 14-14 when all the momentum probably was on Vanderbilt's side. And he does that throw, and it just kind of changes the game. And then I wanted to not skip around. Whoopsies. This is just a lot of good throws here. Mainly, we were trying to use this as a background when we do our discussion. But we said in the week 3 video that Ty was probably a middle-of-the-pack SEC quarterback at that point. Now, I would probably confidently say he's the best quarterback in the SEC. I think Aguilar is pretty good. I think Gunnar Stockton has been better than I thought he was. Diego Pavia has been good. But I would say Ty's the best quarterback in the SEC. So I'll beg the question to Cole. Where do you rank Ty quarterback-wise in the country? Is he top 5? Is he top 3? Is it Mendoza the best? Is it Julian Sayin? Who is your guy right now?
Yeah, I think it's definitely top 5 at the very least. I think he's got a definite argument to be number 1. I think the biggest thing for me with Ty is that he's making all these high-level throws, and you see them all here, these incredibly tight window throws, and yet he's only had 1 interception all year. He's putting the ball in tight windows, but he's not putting the ball in harm's way, which is so hard to do as a quarterback. his arm is the best I've seen in college football this year. I'm not sure it's all that close. He makes throws that no other quarterback in college football can make. The question marks come in with some of the issues with pressure that we've kind of talked about. He's just a good runner. He's not a great runner. I think that's the problem. But I think there's a definite argument he's number one, and I think you're seeing it with NFL draft prognosticators that a lot of them have him going number one overall in the draft. He's, I think, now second in the Heisman Trophy odds. So I think it's bearing out what we're seeing. I think what we're seeing is that he's maybe the best quarterback in the country.
Yeah, and then these next four games, not besides Eastern Illinois, but LSU's defense is one of the more respected defenses in the SEC. Now, A&M did whatever they wanted to LSU's defense, but before that, LSU's defense had been pretty consistent defense. You also will play the Oklahoma defense, who at times has looked like a really, really great defense. And especially they had, I think, 10 sacks against Auburn or something crazy like that. Mm-hmm. And then ending with Auburn's defense, they might be the best defense in the SEC. They haven't given up more than 24 points all year to anybody. And Alabama has been, I think, gotten over 24, I think, in every game besides the Florida State game. So these next 3 weeks, the three SEC games will definitely be challenges for Ty. And I think if he delivers on all 3 of them, I think we have a shot for Ty to be the Heisman Trophy winner. Now, this is all dependent on if Fernando Mendoza doesn't go crazy, say they go 12-0, beat Ohio State in the Big Ten title game, and he goes crazy in that game. That probably maybe changes my answer there. But I think Ty's very much in position to win the Heisman Trophy, be Davey O'Brien Award finalist. But yeah, the next 3 weeks are going to be a challenge, and I am here to see it. Mm-hmm. I think Ty's up for the challenge, but we'll talk about in our next video about how Alabama's run game needs to be improved, especially since SEC title games in the future, playoffs in the future, and how that will affect how Ty performs as well. But Cole, do you have anything else to add before we end the video?
No other thoughts. Just happy to see this level of quarterback play. It's been a department we've been kind of lacking in the last couple of years, really, since Bryce Young left. So very happy to really feel confident about my quarterback every Saturday.
Yes, that is a very much abrupt change, especially from last year. Well, we will end it here. Hope everybody enjoyed the video. Remember, subscribe if you haven't. We just reached over 500. Appreciate all the support, and we'll see you tomorrow on talking about Alabama's run game. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.